Brandon, and all the Jet fans have a lot to say. Wild day, we're all here, let's go. You know what we're talking about right off the bat. An absolutely crazy day on trade deadline day. It led to a wild 80 minutes for our buddy Adam Schefter. It all began 12:47 p.m. Eastern Time. News breaking that the AFC leading Colts are trading 2 first-round picks to the Jets for cornerback Sauce Gardner, bolstering Indy's defense. 4 minutes later, the Seahawks, tied for the best record in the NFC, trade for Saints receiver, big playmaker Rashid Shaheed, giving Sam Darnold another offensive weapon. And then, a little over an hour later, 2:05 Eastern, Jerry Jones drops the mic. He talked the talk and he walks the walk. He gets 3-time Pro Bowl defensive tackle Quinnen Williams, which had our guy Swagoo fired up as the news broke. One thing I know, it's putting on a show and delivering a tease. So the other day, Jerry had teased, we got a big trade. And then all of a sudden, the trade gets announced, and I said, no, that's not how you pay off a tease. You don't pay off a tease with a linebacker that Cincinnati benched. But later in the day, if there's one thing Jerry knows, it's how to put on a show. Yep. He goes out and he gets a big-time player in Quinnen Williams in a big-time trade. Peter, how did it happen?
Yeah, the mechanics of it are interesting. This name had not been public until about 24 hours before the deal actually went down. You actually heard Quincy Williams, Quinnen's brother, and Breece Hall, and yet Sauce and Quinnen were never in those conversations. Cowboys started making them. There were multiple teams that made offers for Quinnen Williams yesterday. The Jets, though, got the best compensation from the Cowboys. The Cowboys gave up a lot in this deal. Multiple picks. And the second rounder that they get this year is what the Jets were harping on. They wanted a second rounder in addition to what they got. They get it in 26. They get the additional first in 27. The Cowboys, they were in a room. It was obviously Jerry, but also Will McClay and Stephen Jones. They were on that conference call with Darren Muji. They pull off the deal. It actually happened earlier in the morning. They waited till after the Mangold funeral services out of respect to everyone in that family. It was made public. Cowboys, they're doing flips. The Jets, they're quietly happy with a giant bounty of picks that they received.
Before I get my guys in here on the Cowboys side of it, Kmart, just your big picture thoughts. It's obviously an earth-shaking kind of trade.
It is, especially if you're in New York. But I understand Marcus's elation because Jerry did something. Jerry did something big. And I think if you look at this move by itself, you say, okay, good player. I love Quinnen Williams, the person, and I love Quinnen Williams, the player. I think the thing when you look at Jerry is he talked on Monday night after that loss about my immediate tomorrows are a big thing to me. This is a move that helps them not today, this season. It helps them next year and the year after that. So I think if you're looking at the Cowboys and thinking, oh, they're going to turn it around with Quinnen Williams, I would say, okay, just hold off just a little bit. Check out their record.
We're doing math today, gentlemen. Quinnen Williams plus Dallas Cowboys equals what?
Watching the playoffs at home still.
Okay.
It does. Look, he is a good player.
Well, that was fun.
He's
He was super excited. It's a good apology.
He's a very good player. He's
Yeah.
a very good player. He's not an Aaron Donald-esque type of player that can absolutely lift the pass rush to the degree where it can offset what is probably the worst pass defense in the NFL.
Right.
Okay, a secondary that just gets bludgeoned. We saw that Monday night.
Right.
We saw what the Cardinals did to it. That is really where their Achilles heel lies. Of course, we talked about it, in the green room, or rather in our meeting this morning. Every single year, come November and December, how do we talk about the Cowboys? About them being soft up the middle.
Right.
Well, look, Logan Wilson and Quinnen Williams, along with Kenny Clark, that actually solidifies that.
Yeah.
That won't be the problem this year.
That's right.
The problem will be pass rush and being able to offset what is going on in the secondary, and that's going to have you sitting at home.
Yeah. I agree. I think from my perspective, this is a very good pickup for the Dallas Cowboys player-wise. Talking about what you're giving up, I'm not getting that, but just from a player perspective, Williams, Wilson, Overshown, Clark, the interior portion of your front seven are now dudes, and figure a way out to earn the right to pass rush. That means keeping people out of third and shorts and third and third and manageable. They got to get people where they can rush it because they can rush the passer decently, but you got to earn your way to that. And I think that's what Eberflus is going to have to figure out on the back end because there's way too many guys running wide open. And even you saw Harrison, man, he lit them up, bro, and that's their best corner.
Just remember this too now. They're 32nd, I believe, in the NFL in number of first downs given up by the run.
Yes.
Okay, so that they needed to shut that down first because to Jeff's point, they haven't earned the right to rush the passer anyway. So it's a problem.
A quick
still.
reminder, if they're 32nd, there are only 32 teams.
I think Jeff brought up the most important name, which is Eberflus. I think what we've been waiting to see with this defense is, can Eberflus take these pieces, see what they have, see what they're best at, and then scheme to fit that.
Right.
And so far, it hasn't worked.
Yep.
Now, I will say, in that building, everybody's excited about, obviously, with Quinnen Williams coming over, but people in that building are like, we need these guys. We need this. We see the improvement. They're excited. And the big reason why is Brian Schottenheimer. You could be questionable. You could have questioned the move in terms of hiring him. But so far in that building, he is a motivator. He's a magnet. Those guys believe they still have a chance despite their record.
Final word on this one before I get to the other one.
Quinnen Williams is an excellent young man also. You're adding a great foundational person into the building.
Yeah.
And we all were here in the New York market time to time. You get to meet
Yeah.
him. This is one of those guys where, wow, the competition's a lot, but you're banking on the future and what he can establish in the locker room. That's an intangible.
That's such a great point. And every Jet, my phone blew up yesterday, obviously, with the Gardner thing going to the Colts.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm sure
I wonder if people were interested in hearing your opinion on it.
But the Williams pickup, every Jets fan to a person
Yes.
said, we're going to miss that. He is a class act in the locker room. People love to be around the guy. He has an infectious personality. That's a win in Dallas, man. So good on them.
He'll always be the young man who sneezed and then blessed himself. We'll always have that, Q. We'll always have that. Now, the other blockbuster came earlier in the day, as we mentioned, and it was tipped off that something was going on because before the trade was announced, Sauce Gardner, it's been real.
little leak.
Minutes later, he was gone. Here was Dan Orlovsky on the deal that sends Sauce to Indy.
He hasn't in the last year and a half been the same player he was early in his career. I think he's top 5 in the NFL when it comes to, over the last 2 seasons, defensive pass interference and hold. His first 2 seasons, this secondary in Indy is in the conversation for being the best in that conference, and it's built to beat Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen in the playoffs.
All right, so once again, the Quinnen Williams trade didn't surprise me that much. I thought they might trade him. This one I did not see coming at all. How did it happen?
They weren't shopping Sauce Gardner. In fact, the same general manager that traded him signed him to a 4-year, $120 million deal in July. And it's a first-year GM. You put your stamp on those big deals. That's the one. That said, every player has a number. And in the last 48 hours, that number increased. And when I say number, I mean trade compensation. Chris Ballard offered a Godfather deal to the Jets. They basically got exactly what the Cowboys got for Micah Parsons.
Right.
That's the kind of level of compensation. Jets weren't looking to trade Sauce Gardner, but they were. And as far as the contract goes, this has to be specific here. The way Darren Muji wrote this contract up for Sauce Gardner, yes, when we were on TV saying, wow, record-breaking number, very backloaded. So they had some flexibility in what this was. Stingley's contract in Houston, which he signed, is actually far greater than what Sauce signed with New York. Truth of the matter is they were able to get out of this. They get a monster deal. And for the Colts, and Jeff, you'll speak eloquently on this, I'm sure, they get an elite cornerback who, by all measures, is that guy still, even though the numbers might not show that.
So let's do the same math. It's Indianapolis Colts plus extra sauce equals what?
Yeah, Super Bowl contender. And this makes their defense legit. And what Dan was just saying, when you couple him when it's Gardner, Bynum, Kenny Moore, Travaris Ward, if he comes back, like, the flexibility that the Colts are going to have in their defensive backfield is absolutely insane. You think they can play zone, now they can go man, you can put Gardner in man. And I understand the penalties and the calls. Let me also say this, and this is not a shot on, when you're on bad teams, you get penalized a lot. When you're on good teams, you're playing from the lead. Like things change a little bit, right? So, like, I understand that in the last couple of years, but what the Colts are expecting out of Sauce Gardner is a guy who they can put on their one. They can bring extra pressure because it allows them to do those things.
Yeah, and Louis, you and I do the draft. I feel like this is an important, sidebar part of this. The Colts trading away these picks, I think, also is a signal they're all in on Daniel Jones, right? I mean, Daniel Jones is going to be their quarterback going forward.
Yeah, no question about that. And really, quite honestly, after this last week's performance, look, you can't just jump off the bandwagon on Daniel Jones.
Right.
Because of how the Pittsburgh game looked. There's always a lot of context about interceptions. We talked about that. They're fine there. Look, as far as what this does for them defensively with Sauce, as Jeff was alluding to, was this. He gives them a movable chess piece.
Yep.
He's a guy you can go ahead and stick on number ones and say, hey, look, I need you to dog this guy all over the football field.
Yep.
Look, as far as the penalties and the holdings over the past couple of years, one of the things that Lou, I'm sure, and Aruma, their defensive coordinator, will do is back him off a little bit, let him play with more eyes, and not have him up on the line of scrimmage doing this all the time. Because when you're out there and you're charged with covering the team's number one wide receiver in press, you're going to get some holding penalties because it's hand-to-hand combat, play after play after play. His skill level hasn't diminished. They'll give him a little bit of a break. The Colts are set up right now, though,
Yes,
man.
they are.
Chris Ballard, hey, look, he went from being a guy who many people wanted to run out of Indy.
Yep.
So now all of a sudden you're going, okay, you're making some moves,
Yeah,
man.
and listen, the trade
moves.
he made for Buckner a few years ago, he gave him one. When he goes in the trade, like he understands the draft pick compensation portion of it. He also knows there are hard players to replace in certain positions. And if I can go get one that I know is a known commodity, I'm willing to take that chance.
I think we have a couple more months to figure out who's right, because I think around the league there is skepticism about whether Daniel Jones can be the guy to get you a Super Bowl. In that building, clearly you don't make that kind of draft capital investment unless you believe, A, our guy is in the building and he can take us to the promised land this year or next year. I'm thrilled for Lou Anarumo. I think Sauce needed a change of scenery. But when I talk about the skepticism around the league, I had a GM text me last night, like, that was a dumb move by Indy.
A lot.
So
It's a lot to
because
give
it's
up,
a lot to give up. So Chris Ballard will be proven right, or those skeptics in the league.
Quick final word.
The Lou Anarumo part of it. Where was Lou Anarumo a superstar as a defensive backs coach and then also a defensive coordinator in Cincinnati? Who did he have eyes on in that market for years?
Yeah, Sauce.
Cincinnati.